The Alaskan wilderness was a cruel mistress, beautiful, but merciless. The icy wind howled through the towering pines as Ethan Carter lay motionless in the snow, his breath long since stolen by the storm. For hours, no living thing stirred near his lifeless body. No heartbeat. No movement except for Shadow, the massive silver-gray wolf who had never left his side. Shadow nudged Ethan's frozen hand with his nose, whining softly. His golden eyes reflected desperation. He pawed at the ice, as if trying to wake his master from the deep, unnatural sleep. Then, as the snow fell heavier, Shadow lifted his head to the sky and howled. It wasn't an ordinary howl. It was long, haunting, filled with grief, with a desperate call to something unseen. The sound traveled through the frozen valley, echoing off the cliffs, reaching beyond the realm of the living. And then, something impossible happened. Ethan gasped. A sharp, ragged breath tore through his lungs as his body jerked. His fingers twitched. His lips parted, releasing a weak, rasping breath. He was alive. Shadow whined again, stepping closer, his warm breath melting the frost on Ethan's skin. Ethan's eyelids fluttered. He felt the icy pain in his limbs, the numbness of near death. But something stronger pulled him back. The howl. That howl had called him back. His wolf had saved him. An hour later, the rescue team arrived. Dr. Amelia Hayes, the lead medic, knelt beside Ethan, her face pale with disbelief. "He's alive," she whispered, pressing her fingers to his wrist. One of the rescuers shook his head. "That's impossible. He was out here for over 6 hours. No one survives that long in this cold." Ethan groaned weakly, his throat raw. His gaze flickered to Shadow, who sat protectively by his side. He called me back," Ethan murmured, his voice barely audible. Dr. Hayes frowned. "What do you mean?" Ethan's lips trembled. Shadow howled. "I was gone, Amelia. I felt myself slipping. But I heard him. He brought me back." The rescue team exchanged glances. It sounded impossible. Yet Ethan was here, breathing, alive. Dr. Hayes hesitated, then looked at the wolf. Shadow sat still, golden eyes glowing in the dim light. There was something in them, something ancient, something beyond understanding. "Maybe," she whispered, "maybe we don't know everything about life and death after all." Ethan reached out, running his hand over Shadow's thick fur. He had always known wolves were intelligent, but this was something else. Something unexplainable. And as the rescue team carried Ethan back to safety, Shadow followed closely, never leaving his side, because some bonds, even between man and beast, were stronger than death itself. Epilogue. The legend of Shadow's howl. To this day, people in the Alaskan wilderness tell the story of Shadow's howl, the wolf's cry that brought a dead man back to life. Some call it a miracle. Others call it a legend. But Ethan Carter, he calls it the truth, because he knows, without a doubt, that on that freezing night, when death had claimed him, his wolf's howl had defied it and won.
Daniel watched her in disbelief. She wasn't just some lost traveler, she knew exactly what she was doing. And Shadow had brought her here on purpose. Days passed, and with Evelyn's care, Daniel grew stronger. The fever broke, his strength returned, and color came back to his face. One evening, as he sat by the fire, he finally asked her, "Who are you, really? How did Shadow find you?" Evelyn hesitated, then smiled softly. "Your wolf is extraordinary." She ran a hand through Shadow's thick fur. "I live deep in these mountains. I'm a healer. But I haven't seen another soul in years. Your wolf didn't just find me." She looked at him intensely. "He knew exactly where to go. He led me here like he understood everything." A shiver ran down Daniel's spine, not from the cold, but from something deeper. Shadow had always been special, but this was something more. Had his wolf somehow sensed that he was dying? Had he sought out the one person who could save him? Daniel reached out, running a hand over Shadow's head. The wolf's golden eyes stared back at him, filled with something almost human-like. Evelyn's voice was quiet but firm. "Your wolf didn't just bring me to you,